Basically, the idea is that you're going to have more forage when you graze weeds.
Kathy Both has some unusual ideas.
People are very, very skeptical about this at first. We've fought weeds for centuries, and so we have a particular vision in our mind of them as enemies. And for me to come forward and say, no, really, just eat them, is a huge thing.
Voth is in Vermont teaching livestock owners how to train their animals to eat weeds, or as Voth prefers to call them, alternative forage.
Weeds are actually very, very nutritious, often better than the grasses, and that animals are very flexible about learning to eat new things if you just give them a little bit of education.
We're going to teach the donkeys to eat burdocks. They already eat the seed head. They like to eat the seed head.
Rod Hewitt and his wife primarily raise cows and sheep. They came to the workshop to learn techniques that will help them expand the grazing practices they already use.
We sold our hay equipment last year and converting our farm to total grazing, and we're trying to work with extended grazing this year to be able to take the animals through part of the winter.
Hewitt has a long history of trying new techniques to improve the health of his livestock. He's had a lot of success incorporating minerals into his animals' diets and is interested in the nutritional value of the weeds compared to traditional grazing forage.
When you work with animals that way, you can get a lot more out of them than if you're just trying to push them around and make them conform to your systems.
Weeds are typically higher in protein than your typical grass. If it's green and growing, it's probably nutritious.
Goats are very diverse eaters, so they really enjoy browse, but they also enjoy pasture, so we can get them to eat lots of different things. It's very fascinating to observe what they go for. So this is just kind of expanding our knowledge of how to integrate them better into our land management plans.
Kelly Hastings and her family run Fat Toad Farm in Brookfield. It's a goat dairy that specializes in cheeses and caramel sauce.
We do really intensive rotational grazing. They go to a new area every 6 hours, basically. But, I mean, we have some milkweed and goldenrod and buttercup, chervil. So none of it's in huge quantities, but enough to kind of start getting them to work on it and see what they do.
Teaching animals to eat alternative forage can be beneficial for a number of reasons. The high level of protein in the weeds can help animals gain weight at a faster rate, and the technique can save farmers money.
Say I had 25 animals here in Vermont to train to eat Canada thistle. I can teach them to eat Canada thistle in about 7 days for, say, $125 max. And then after that, I'm done. The animals will learn to eat other plants on their own. They will teach their offspring and their herd mates, and I never have to worry about Canada thistle again. I just worry about how I manage my animals, which is pretty much what a grazier ought to be doing anyway.
After the classroom portion of the workshop, the group headed to a local farm to see some training in action.
Part of what's been fun about this is actually just watching the animals' reactions.
Jen Colby works for the University of Vermont Extension's pasture program. In preparation for Voth's visit, and because of an increase in weeds on her own farm, Colby spent a week implementing the technique.
So today's day 6 of the program. I've taken them new food twice a day for the first 4 days, and they started with a grain that they have just occasionally that they love, which we use as a training tool to move them around a little bit. And so 2 days ago, I started to take that little bit of wheat bran and mix it in with some Canada thistle to see if they would eat the Canada thistle, because the wheat bran was familiar.
The sheep seem to be catching on, giving Colby the confidence that she will be able to manage her land easily in the future.
And so I'm not afraid if I get some new species. If I get something coming from Irene, if I get something that's, some new unusual weed, I'm not afraid of that like I might have been before I learned about this tool. If there's something new, I'm just going to teach them to eat it, and we're going to call it good. And I expect that they will eat it, because as long as it's green and growing and it's likely nutritious, then we'll get everything that we need to get out of it.
But we're going to teach the cattle, we're going to teach the sheep, and we're going to teach the donkeys. And it should be pretty good.
Managing land and livestock by putting weeds on the menu. These Vermont farmers and their animals are ready to try something new. In Randolph, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.